what's up guys? Yasser here. Welcome back to my channel Yasser's Fit Frag. And today I'm going to talk about fragrance oil manufacturer who has some of the best quality fragrance oil that I have bought, and it is based out of Bangalore. And the name is Gazzaz, which is in Frazer town. So if any of the viewers are from Bangalore, I'm not sure if you have visited this place, but I highly recommend this particular store in Frazer town where you can find some of the French-based perfume oils. So when I say French-based, that does not mean they are made in France. They're purely made in India, but the kind of smell that they make are interpretation of most of the designer fragrances which are made in France. So some of them are very, very close to the designer fragrance. Some of them have similarities, so I would call them as interpretation of designer fragrance. So I'm going to show you a list of some of those which I have bought from Gazzaz. So I would start with the fresh category of fragrance oil. Then I would switch on to the sweeter fragrances among their collection. And finally, I would be showing some of the favorite of their collection according to my view. So let's start with the fresh collections that they have. So the first one would be Givenchy. So this is an interpretation of Givenchy Blue. So this smells very fresh, slightly aquatic with some citrus notes on the top. And then it also has patchouli to make it more masculine. So suggest this for those who like fresh fragrance with a masculine touch. So this is a 12 ml bottle. So he starts his quantity with 6 ml bottle, which I think costs about 140. So he generally charges about 140 to 160. Some of the oud collections that he has are slightly more expensive, but most of them are ranging between 140 to 160. So all of the lists that I'm going to show now are between 140 to 160 for a 6 ml bottle. So 6 ml can be used easily for 12 times, because all you need is a half ml of fragrance oil for a day, because these are concentrated fragrance oil, so you do not need more than half ml and you can still smell good throughout the day. So let's start with the next one. So the next one is Azzaro Chrome, and this is an interpretation of Azzaro Chrome, the designer fragrance, and this is about 80% close to that one, because I've already smelled the designer fragrance. So I would say that this is 80% close to that one. So the next one is Versace. So he has only named it as Versace, but I do have Dylan Blue. This does not smell like Dylan Blue, so I am sure this smells like Versace Pour Homme, because I have Versace Pour Homme twice or thrice, so I do remember. So I guess this is about 75 to 80% close to that. If you like Versace Pour Homme and you cannot spend so much on a designer fragrance, this is definitely a good choice. So this is a 6 ml bottle compared to the 12 ml which I showed previously. This is slightly bigger. This is 6 ml and this costs about 140. So before I start with the sweeter collections, I would like to suggest Hermes. This is an interpretation of Terre de Hermes. Terre de Hermes is known to be one of the most masculine fragrance from the designer collection, and this is again a good interpretation of that. It is named as Hermes, so I'm sure it is named after Terre de Hermes. And this has a very prominent tobacco. It still smells very masculine. So for those who like tobacco fragrances, I would recommend this. So let's start with the sweeter collections. From the first one would be 212 Man, which is an interpretation of Carolina Herrera's 212 Man. And this is again 80% close to 212 Man, because I've smelled 212 Man. So the next one is Hugo Boss-Infinity. So this is an interpretation of Hugo Boss-Infinite, I believe, because I do not own the original Hugo Boss-Infinite. But since it is named as Infinity, I'm guessing that this should be an interpretation of Hugo Boss-Infinite. But as a scent, this is one of the most compliment getters for me. This is definitely sweet, but at the same time, it smells really amazing for people around you, especially when it lingers in the air. So if you do not like sweet fragrances, I don't think you would like this. But if you are into sweeter fragrances, this is definitely a must try. So the next one among the sweet collections would be Blackberry. And this, as far as I know, is not an interpretation of any of the designer fragrance. I'm not really sure. But this, as a scent character, is beautiful blend of sweet fragrances. The sweetness of this fragrance is very mild. It is very smooth, not too polarizing, and has a touch of oriental notes. and at the same time it smells slightly fresh as well. So among the sweet fragrances from Gazzaz, I would highly recommend this one. At least buy a 6 ml to test it. Wear it on your clothes and then test it for a whole day. Do not directly smell the bottle and then judge, because these fragrance oils tend to change their smell character after a while. And because this is a sweet fragrance, I would recommend that if you happen to stay in air-conditioned environment, that's the right place to test this. Now coming to my favorites among the Gazzaz collections. So these are mostly fresh and aquatic, but they are my personal favorites among the Gazzaz collection. So I would highly recommend these to you guys so that you can test it and then see the quality of this fragrance oil, because they are really, really well blended and smells of high quality. So I would start with Bulgari. So he names it as Bulgari, but this is an interpretation of Bulgari Aqva Pour Homme. I would rather call this as a clone because this smells 90% similar to Bulgari Aqva Pour Homme. And I'm not kidding you, 90% similar to Bulgari Aqva Pour Homme. It is so beautifully made. Some even mistake this for the designer fragrance, Bulgari Pour Homme. For those who own that particular fragrance, they have even asked me if I'm wearing Bulgari Pour Homme. So highly recommended. Do try this one. Next one would be Sauvage. So he has named it as Savage, S-A-V-A-G-E. So Dior Sauvage, S-A-U-V-A-G-E. I would not call this as interpretation. I would rather call this as a clone, because this is again 85% close to Dior Sauvage. The only difference is this does not have that peppery note which Dior Sauvage has. That's the only difference I find in this, but otherwise this is very close to Dior Sauvage. The next one is Invictus. So this is a clone of Paco Rabanne Invictus, and I'm calling this as clone because I do have Paco Rabanne Invictus, and this again smells 85% close to this one. So for those who still want to smell good, smell great, just like Paco Rabanne Invictus, but do not want to spend so much, this is the best choice, because this is a very close clone of Paco Rabanne Invictus. Highly recommended again. So the last one in the list is Lacoste Red Silver. I'm not sure if you can read this. This does not seem to be an interpretation of or clone of any of the Lacoste fragrances that I've tried, but this as a scent character just smells amazing from all the Gazzaz collections. So I had already made a perfume of this particular fragrance in the past, so this is almost over now. So once this is empty, I'm going to make perfume out of this oil again by adding ethanol, because I just love this one. This is the most favorite among the fresh fragrances from Gazzaz, and the most complimented from the fresh fragrances from Gazzaz. So I highly recommend this one. So if you're interested in buying, quote this name. So I am going to give the list of all the best of his collections and the favorites of mine from the Gazzaz collection in the description down below. So please check the description. I'm going to give you the details of the seller as well. So he's based out of Bangalore. He does not have any online website for selling these, but I've asked him if he can courier these outside of Bangalore if any of the customers are interested in buying based on my video. So he has agreed to the same. I'm going to give you his contact details in the description down below. So if anybody is interested in buying, you can contact his number, or if you're from Bangalore, you can directly visit his store. So do try these. These are some of the best of the fragrance oil collections that I've tried. Gazzaz is not the only fragrance oil manufacturers that you see in India. There are so many fragrance oil manufacturers. I'm not suggesting all of them, but this is something that I highly recommend. And for a price of 140 to 160, you cannot get anything better than this. So give it a try. I'm sure you're going to like this. So subscribe my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Thanks for watching again. See you next time in another video. Cheers.